Welcome back. I want to visit with you a little bit more about higher ed. Last night, we had the chancellor of North Dakota's higher ed system, Hamid Shrivani, also the president of the board, Dwayne Espegard. And so we got a bunch of feedback. We had a young man here on the show that was $60,000 in student debt, went to NDSU. And I want to share with you a bit of the feedback that we got and introduce to you our next guest here in just a moment, if we can bring this up. This person went on to say, I put myself through college 6 years and proud of it. Paid all my tuition by working while I went to college. Hey, if you want it, you're going to work for it. If you don't want it, you won't work for it. Well, back in the 70s, he's right. You could actually get through school and work your way through it and pay the bills. But now look at this graph that I've got right here. Thanks to our next guest, Rob Port from Say Anything Blog. This is a graph he had on his blog today. You can see here inflation since 1978. Now, we all know the cost of medicine in this country is going berserk. Look at this. The inflation, if you can see that at home, is nearly twice as much for higher education. Rob Port from Say Anything Blog, thanks for joining me tonight live from Minot. Here's my first question for you. Why in the world is higher ed inflation escalating at such a rapid rate?
Well, I think it's for a lot of reasons. I think first and foremost, it's probably federal policy. I mean, we've turned student loans into essentially an entitlement, and we've seen this before. There's precedent for it. If you look at the housing crisis, what caused the subprime housing crisis was essentially government subsidies for subprime loans. The government backed the loans. The bankers went wild. They took advantage of it. They were able to sell these loans. They were able to make loans to people who could never take the loans before. They all got sold to the government. And then eventually, when people couldn't pay the loans off, the market collapsed. The same thing's happening with student loans. Essentially, we have made the market almost endlessly elastic. Colleges can charge almost any amount they want. They can push tuition through the roof, and students pay because they're pretty much guaranteed to get a student loan because of the federal government.
I mean, Rob, one of the big things I'm concerned about, you look at now, you've got student loan delinquencies are rising at a very rapid rate. More and more students are taking on debt, yet you've got 53% of people that graduate from college either underemployed or unemployed. We've got to get these costs down. My question to you is, so what are some of those solutions? We proposed that last night to Chancellor Shrivani. He really didn't have any specifics. Specifically, what would you say, hey, Chris, this is what we need to do to begin to lower these costs and make a college education more affordable?
What's really astounding to me is that in this era of technology, that we're not lowering costs more. I mean, you would think that computers and tablets and internet connections everywhere and video conferencing would make education easier, but apparently it's making it more expensive. If we want to talk about the North Dakota University system specifically, I think we could talk about some of the costs at some of our campuses. I mean, these campuses are getting opulent, I think is the word for it. When you start looking at some of the pay increases, you have, presidents who have over the last 10 years doubled their salaries. You have the average full professor at North Dakota State University, for instance, who has gotten a $45,000 a year raise over the last 10 years. The average full professor now making $100,000 a year. You have, some of the things going on where the university has a private airplane that they're flying around in. I think when you start looking at some of these extravagances, the only way they're justified is by the fact that we are raising costs through the roof, and not just for students. I mean, tuition prices are going through the roof for students in North Dakota, but so are the increases for North Dakota taxpayers. Since the 2003-2005 biennium, total appropriations for higher education in North Dakota has increased 150%. Enrollment has increased just 8%. You've got to ask, where is all that additional money going? Enrollment is not growing anywhere near as fast as spending. Where's the additional money going? Well, I think it's going to make the campuses bigger, more lavish, and bigger pay for more administrators.
Well, and one of the big things that you've talked about, Rob, in the past is that you've also got a 40% increase in non-teaching employment there, which, what does that mean? What is that doing for the students? Again, I think we've got to take a step back and say, hey, is this higher ed system truly serving the students? When you've got a 23% graduation rate at NDSU, UND, Valley City State in 4 years, I would say you'd have to really question it. Is it truly serving the students? Rob, always great to have you with us. I know we'll have you back again soon. The other piece you want to take a look at in the Governor Dalrymple's budget, and Rob mentioned this, look, more and more people are utilizing distance learning, and here we are, we're going to allocate $170 million for more structures on campuses. Is that a good use of your tax money? That's the question tonight, and please let us know your thoughts on the higher ed system, and are we maximizing your tax dollars within that education system? Go to our website, 630pov.com. We've got a couple of great comments when we come back. One of them has to do with moron. I'll just put it that way. Stay close. More coming up.